Have you gone to the shipper before to find out that somebody has set the trailer down too low, and when you go under it, you can't? It's another reason why it's a good idea to go slow, because I've seen guys haul ass backwards and take their fifth wheel. If it's not rocked down, your fifth wheel, it rocks down and it levels up when you get on top of it. So it's usually supposed to be down at an angle so that when you hit the trailer, it slides up onto the fifth wheel. And sometimes if your fifth wheel's setting up and the trailer is too low, you end up damaging your trailer when you slam into it too hard. Which is a good idea to always make sure your fifth wheel is angled down, for one, and two, to make sure you go back into it slow. Another good idea is to only back in a part of the way underneath it, and before you do that, drop the air out of your bag so you're guaranteed more than likely to get underneath it. But there are still times that trailer is still too low and there's no way to get underneath it, even if you drop all the air out of the bags. Well, you can call for a yard dog sometimes, and that may take a while because you got to go hunt one down, or there may not be one on duty at the time. The other thing that you can do is there is a if you could just get the frame, your fifth wheel, it's like your truck is here and your fifth wheel is about here, and there's a little bit of black rail coming out frame on the back end of the truck. Should be right there above your tail lights. What you can do is you can try to see if you can get that part, not the fifth wheel, just back under enough where the edge of the frame of the truck, the cross members on the truck, go underneath the trailer, and then air the bags up, and that should lift the trailer up enough that you can go back and roll the legs down. Some trailers you can jack it up with the leg lift handle, but if it's heavy, it's going to be really hard to do, or if you're not in shape, you can't do it. So therefore, try to back the truck up, lower the air all the way down, put just the back end of the truck, not where the fifth wheel is, but just the edge of the cross members there, or the frames, the rails, black rails underneath it. Air it up, and it should lift the trailer up enough so that it's easier for you to roll the legs down. And if that's not enough, you can also put keep you a 4x4 with you that will cross down two black rails on the end of your trailer, on the end of your truck, I'm sorry. And you can also lower it down and put that on there and back under it. But if you can do that, you'd be able to get the fifth wheel under there, so it's kind of pointless at that point. So it's just better to try to use the tip end of the truck, the bottom end of the truck, and use that to lift it up off the ground so that you can get the legs down easier. Because trying to crank those legs to raise the trailer up is going to be really, a pain in the ass, especially if it's a heavy trailer. The other thing is that people come to a lot of these places and the trailers are so close together that you can't get back to the handle without crawling on your hands and knees. And I'm not fixing to crawl on my hands and knees. A lot of the times, though, you can just simply lower your airbags back under the trailer, lift the trailer and air your airbags back up, and that will lift the legs up off the ground, maybe an inch, a half inch. Hook up your air lines and lights and all that, and do a tug and pull before you take off. Make sure you're locked onto the trailer, and slowly drag the trailer out. And I mean slowly, because if those legs catch onto something, you're going to damage a parking lot. They're going to come at you about that. It's always when the yard dog is going by when that happens, or if you bend the legs, which takes a little bit of pressure to do that. You should know you're doing that. But if you take off too fast, and you may get to pulling it out and it's coming out really easy, so you step on the throttle, but what you don't realize is there's a little bump up there, and that's when you snag up. So pull it out real slow, just till you can at least get to the handle. So if the trailers are there, you want to pull the trailer out enough to where the handle to raise the legs is just past the other trailer, so you can just simply walk over and jump up and roll the legs out. So those are the options without having to find the yard dog. And me, that's what I've been doing since '05, and I've never had one I can't pull out. You know, I've been, whether I can say I've been blessed, whatever, I don't know. But those are some options. Don't be, you know, when you see them close together, don't panic. You know, just back in and handle your own business, and try not to have to go ask somebody else, because one, it's going to be a little bit of time to go find somebody, and then they got to do it. They got to come back over there where you are, wherever that may be, and that's just a way to do it and handle it yourself without having to ask anybody. It's real simple. And these are for the new drivers. Those guys that have been out here longer than me, or have been out here as long as I have, and some of them that have been out here less than I've been out here, know this already. I'm just talking to the guys that are just coming out here and don't know what to do. I ran into a guy the other day with Snyder Trucking. I was a little surprised. I guess I don't know this about Snyder. I thought Snyder had a little higher standards there, but maybe I'm wrong. But this guy, he didn't even know how to slide his tandems. He was asking me how to do it. They put him in a newer truck, and it had all these different functions, and he didn't know what none of the buttons did. I mean, I won't say he didn't know what none of the buttons did. He didn't know what about 5 or 6 of them did. So, yeah, I was kind of surprised. So, you know, he didn't know anything about the tug and pull. And don't get me wrong, some guys just don't pay attention in class, but sometimes his complaint was to me is that he did not have enough training before they put him in a truck and pushed him out on the road. My thought on that is a lot of these places want to hurry it up and just do the basic training and get you out the door. And the way they look at it, they're going to get paid one way or the other. They're either going to get an insurance check from a wreck, or they're going to get their load where it's supposed to go. And in a lot of these places, the driver is not that important. They come and go. So you have to do what you got to do to keep yourself safe and others. And the reason I say others is also you're responsible. You look at that guy in Colorado who got all them years for running over those people with that truck when his brakes supposedly went out. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, I don't know. I'm sure they went out. For what reason, I don't know. But he got a lot of time for just doing his job and just not, you know, following through with certain procedures and doing certain things. And it could happen to any of us in some cases. I've made mistakes, and like I say, I've been driving since '05. And, you know, anybody that tell you they don't make any mistakes, you know, I don't even think I'm gonna comment on that. I don't even think that's worth commenting on. And a lot of these guys that are on the CB radio all the time talking shit while you're backing up, talking about how long you've been taking to do it and this, that, and the other, they are, I really shouldn't make comment on that either, but I will say this. I don't care if you've been driving since you were 12, you've made mistakes, because remember when you were 11 and you didn't know how to drive until you were 12, well, that period between 11 and 12, what mistakes did you make? How long did it take you to back the trailer? I mean, I've heard guys talking about they live on the farm, and I know they do this. I believe this without a shadow of a doubt. A lot of those guys are born and bred around trucks. But they've made mistakes too. And so you can't worry about what somebody says. You know, if the radio is bothering you that much, turn it down till you get done. Turn it off for the night if you're parking. But I don't believe in turning the radio off and leaving it off all day long while you're driving. If anything, it should be on and it should be turned up. You may want to tune it in to where you're not getting, you know, you're not receiving conversation that's going on 20 miles up the road. And I'm just over exaggerating there. You only need about 3 to 5 mile radius at the most to know what's going on ahead of you, because they will let you know, hey, them roads closed down, this is going on, it's slick at the top of the mountain, there's a pile up at the bottom of the hill. I mean, all this information is stuff that you need to know before it's too late. Because if you're coming down out of the mountains, let's say like in Elk Mountain, Wyoming, and you can't see, and you're coming down that mountain too fast, and there's ice at the bottom or on the way down, and you see a pile up and you go to slow down, and then that's how jackknives happen. you need to know beforehand so you can get to that shoulder, grab some traction somewhere, and work your way down and see what's going on. So, but today's message that I want to put out is about pulling trailers out of tight spots and hooking up to trailers that are too low and too high. Let me say that 4x4 that I was telling you about, making sure that it's long enough to go across the tail end of your truck, will help you with that too, because sometimes, usually when the trailer's too high, it's easy to jack down, but sometimes we get those legs that are trailer legs that are need oiling or whatever they need service, that are just hard to turn, and it's a pain in the ass to get it to lower down even. Then in that case, where you need to put the 4x4 either on the top of the fifth wheel, if it's jacked up too high, lower your airbag down, put the 4x4 on the fifth wheel, and if that's too high, put it on the end of the trailer, back up under the trailer, and then raise the tail end of the truck up by putting the air back in the bags, and the 4x4 will help you lift up the trailer so that you can lower the legs down a little bit. So that's the other way that works. So I hope this helps somebody that needs it, that hasn't seen it yet on Facebook. And you know, I'm gonna start putting more videos, and most of the videos that I put on here are things that I've done out here that I've had to learn the hard way myself, and I've either made, most of them are from mistakes that I've made. So mistakes that I've made, and I'm like, shit. So now it's easier for me to put that on my page so that somebody else don't have to go through that same problem. You can experience some new problem somewhere.